Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Gondoli. I am the CEO of Leostream, and today I want to talk to you about how the use of Leostream policies can really help you simplify hybrid access to your corporate resources. So, policies can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, but essentially, the whole reason you use a policy of any kind really is in order to get yourself organized in a way that's going to help you simplify your life going forward. So, what that means when we're talking about remote access is typically you have users who are connecting from a lot of different locations. Maybe you just have a global workforce, maybe you have remote users, whatever it happens to be, they're distributed around, they're using different types of devices coming in from different types of networks. And they're connecting to resources that might also be hybrid as well. They could be in different clouds, maybe just different cloud regions. Perhaps you have some on prem workstations or GPU enabled virtual machines. You have all these different types of resources, you have all these different types of users, and trying to create manual rules that will connect the right users to the right types of resources is going to be a nightmare. And the legacy tools like VPNs that would allow you to support remote work for those environments, they're not going to scale for these hybrid types of use cases. And they're also going to inhibit performance and often cause security problems. So, what do you do instead? You leverage the policy engine, which is part of the Leostream platform, to really simplify your life while ensuring security and performance for your users. What our policies allow you to do is ensure that you are always assigning users to the right desktop based on who they are, where they're coming from, perhaps what time of day it is, and the type of work that that user needs to do. And you can do this all in a way that really enforces least privileged access. We have a lot of controls for enforcing MFA, and the role-based access really just ensures that users only get access to the things that they should get access to get their job done. They don't just have open access to the network at large. We also, as part of these policies, we it's not just about user access, it's also about controlling the actual resources themselves. So spinning up capacity in the cloud if demand is high, terminating that capacity when the demand goes down, managing power states. All of this is done in an automated way to help IT reduce operational costs across these hybrid environments. And the last thing I'll point out is that another thing that's hybrid in a Leostream environment is the display protocols that you can use. We support a wide range of both high performance display protocols and what I tend to call commodity protocols like RDP or VNC. So you can use the right protocol for each type of user you have and each type of tasks they have, and you can mix and match them in a way that ensures performance while also allowing you to minimize licensing fees for the high performance protocols when they're not actually needed. So, how does this help simplify your life? Well, for hybrid employees, if you have employees that when they're in the office, maybe you just want to connect them to a workstation in the data center. But if they're traveling across the country, then you can automatically have the Leostream platform redirect that user to a desktop in a cloud region closest to where they are. So it simplifies the task of making sure users get associated with a resource that's closest to them, essentially, is one use case. Another is to ensure that the people who actually need the GPU back systems are the ones that are getting offered those. And you can have a pool of those machines shared by users and ensure that just the right users are using those machines, while users who don't need GPU, they can be directed to a less expensive instance, be that on-prem or in the cloud. It also allows you to ensure that people only have access when they are supposed to have that access. So for contractors or project teams, you can limit when they're allowed to connect to a machine so that you can, again, if you have a pool of machines, you can share them during 8 hours. I have 3 shifts. Over those different 3 shifts over the course of the day, different teams are allowed to use a particular machine, for example. And then another way that we allow you to control costs, I talked about power state, but how do we automate when to power a machine down or when to terminate it? Well, it's based on looking at what the user's actually, if the user's actually still using that machine. So if they're running a process or they're moving their mouse or keyboard, we know the user's working. If they have disconnected from their session or they've just walked away and the machine's gone idle, our broker can automatically detect that and power the machine down to help you control costs. So in the end, IT, your life is so much easier and end users are so much happier because they have this centralized location where they can get access to all the different resources they need, no matter where that resource is hosted. As an organization, you have stronger security because you have these clear rules that indicate who has access to what, from where, for how long, and IT's operational efforts are just go down tremendously because Leostream is essentially a set it and forget it tool. Spend your time defining these good, strong policies, and then everything just works from there on in. So to show you some of the ways that our environment supports a hybrid workforce, let's look at the broker. So just as a quick example, I'm going to log in as an end user. And what I'm going to see, this is the Leostream web client, and I see that I'm offered some different machines. Now, I named my machines so that you could see where they're running or the display protocol that would be used. But you have complete control over how you display the desktops to the users. You can add in display names. Maybe you want to show them the name of the pool. However you want this to be shown so that users understand what resources they have access to, you have control over that. And then end users have some pretty cool access or pretty cool control over what they see here too. So they can switch to dark mode if they want. Everybody tends to love dark mode. I can show lists instead of tiles. And then as an end user, I can see that I'm actually, for my cloud machines, provided with permission to start them on my own. So you can offer them a stopped G4XL expensive machine so that it's not chugging up compute costs, and then they can start it, go get a cup of coffee, come back, and then connect using the launch button. You'll see from this one interface, I can connect using different protocols based on what's appropriate for the machine. For Azure, so you see I have an Azure and an AWS machine. These two happen to also to be on-prem. For Azure, the machine's all the way down in a DL allocated state. So again, it's all about helping you save money. So the fact that I see what I see here and am offered things in all these different environments, that's all based on the policy that my Leostream administrator built. So now let's look at the policy inside of Leostream. So I've logged in now as an admin, so I get dropped to my dashboard. So I have some quick stats about what my environment looks like. And then when it comes to setting up a hybrid environment, there's a few things that I'll point out here. One is the centers that Leostream supports. A center is essentially any third-party platform that hosts your resources and that Leostream has API control over. So you'll see here's my on-prem environment. I have a VMware environment. I have a Scale platform environment, and then I have my two clouds. We do support a number of other different types of platforms. So whatever you want, you can put it in here. And the fact that you have this one centralized location means that it's easy for you to migrate users between them. And the end user would never even know. So if you are looking at migrating off of one solution into another, Leostream's a great option for you there. So my centers give me that hybrid resource control. And then our Leostream gateways are your VPN replacement, which give you remote access across all of these different environments. So I have one gateway running in AWS to direct those users to. This gateway is on-prem, running on Rocky 9 in my VMware environment. So that's where I can connect users into my data center. And you can have as many gateways as you need to support your scale and your network. So have as many regions as you might desire. So that's one part of the hybridness. The other is in our protocol support. So here in protocol plans, you define which protocol the connection broker will use to connect users and how that connection will be made. So just as an example, I have one here for connecting users via Amazon DCV. When you're launching via Amazon DCV and Leostream, you have a lot of control over how that session is launched for the user. I can set permissions, I can change, different parameters here through the configuration file. I can send it through a gateway if this is for a remote user. And again, create as many protocol plans as you need, configured however they want. And then all this comes together in your policy. So here is that hybrid policy that I was assigned to as an end user. You'll notice in one policy, you can offer machines from multiple different pools. And I said you have a lot of control over how it's displayed to the user through the parameters in the pool. that's where you do that. So I'm displaying it via pool name. I'm giving the users the controls to reboot. A lot of different ways you can configure the system to optimize it for your needs. That's a lot of information. I'm going to stop it there. If you want to learn more, you can always contact us at info@leostream.com.